Hello, my crafty friends. Welcome to Stamp with Tia. I am Tia Woodward, an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator located in Vancouver, Washington, in the United States. I am so grateful that I get to be here with you today and show you this card as part of the July through December 2022 Stampin' Up! Mini Catalog Launch Party. Whew, that's a title, isn't it? So I'm going to get started right away, but this is the card that we're making, and the bundle that we're using is the Hello Harvest bundle. So it's got the pumpkin and flowers and some autumn leaves, some nice sentiments, and then here are the coordinating dies. So this is the set that I'm using today. Ooh, excuse me. So I'm using some of the coordinating designer series paper, a couple of cardstocks, a few pieces of cardstock, and I'm using all the stamps, or not all of the stamps, but all of the stamps that I am using today and all of the dies that I am using today are coming from that bundle, and I'm not crossing with any other bundles. So this is what this looks like, and I wanted to show you, this is an envelope, and I've coordinated it to go back to this card. So I'm going to get started. I'm going to set this here, and actually I'm going to set it kind of to one side a little bit. So I am going to start off by, excuse me, adhering this piece of designer series paper to a matte layer of cardstock. I am using the designer series paper is 3 5/8 by 4 7/8, and I'm layering it on a piece of old olive that I have cut to 3 3/4 by 5 inches. I like to use, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry for the clearing my throat. We have cottonwoods blowing, and it is not a fun allergy for me. Okay, so I am using the multi-purpose adhesive. I like to use that. It gives me time to wiggle things into place. So this is my card front. Goodness gracious. I thought I was more prepared than this. I pre-stamped and die cut a couple of pieces, these pieces that are going to go on the front of the card, just to save a little bit of time. So for the pumpkin, I'm not going to color in the stem because that will be covered up by the flowers. I am going to go ahead and I'm going to start with the light Cajun Craze. I'm going to use the bullet tip, and I'm going to go right over these spines. And I don't have to be super careful about it. I'm just creating some shading. Right there. And I made a little bit of an error there, but I'm going to show you how to fix that. And I'm getting a little sloppy, so I'm going to slow down. And I'm just tracing the outline, any place that would be a little bit darker because it's rolling away from us, right? Now, before I go any farther, I've gone off the edge in a couple places here, and I'm going to bring in my color lifter pen, and I am going to just apply it in those areas. It will at least lighten it, if not actually push the ink back into where I want it to be. I might have to do it again because I got a little bit heavy-handed. There we go. That should minimize anything that we end up seeing. All right, so now to get back into what I was doing, I'm going to come in with my light pumpkin pie. Oops, but I want the brush tip. And I am just going to start applying color, and I'm going to apply right over that light Cajun Craze that I used to create shadowing. Oh, I just realized I didn't I didn't finish adding my shadowing, so I will do that in just a moment. So I'm just using my brush tip and applying the light pumpkin pie. I'm going to pick back up that light Cajun Craze in the bullet tip, and I'm going to just kind of sketchy action here. I'm going to just apply a little bit of color where these dotted lines are that kind of give you an indication of where the shading would be. And there we go. Now I'm going to go over this with the dark pumpkin pie. I'm going to use that brush tip. And you might notice that I've left a couple little white spots here, and I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about it because it kind of adds to that kind of vintage look and gives you an idea of maybe where some of the shine might be. I know it looks like I'm painting a barn. This just happens to be a really large area that I'm able to do that with. All right. And then I'm going to come back in with my light and just kind of hit this area in the center here, and it's going to kind of displace some of that ink. These are alcohol markers. You can see it kind of lightening in those areas. I could do the same thing with my color lifter, but I think I'm going to get the better effect by doing it this way. You can do it however you want. I'm going to set my pumpkin aside, and I'm going to start in on my flowers next. I'm going to grab the dark Cajun Craze and use that as this, oops, I wanted the bullet tip, and use that for the center of my flowers. And I have a couple supplemental flowers here that I'm going to add in. And then I'm just going to go straight to my dark. So the blender pens, the Stampin' Blends, come in duo packs, combo packs. There's a light and a dark of each of the colors. I'm going to use the dark of the Daffodil Delight, and I'm going to use the bullet tip. So I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to color in these flower petals. And so as soon as as a demonstrator, we have early access to the stamps and dies in the catalogs so that we can start making samples. And as soon as I saw this collection, I knew that I was going to get it. My youngest daughter, her birthday is on Halloween, and so we have a tendency to do a lot of decorating with pumpkins in general. We've got several fun stories of things that we've done with pumpkins. For instance, her 21st birthday, the whole year, we had this garden. She was away at college, and she had even gone overseas for part of her summer. And so she didn't know what we had growing in the garden. She knew that we were probably growing a couple of pumpkins because we usually did, but what she didn't know is we were growing a lot of pumpkins. And that anybody that visited from out of town, we would take over there, or even the people that lived in town, we would take over there and we would have them write messages in the pumpkin with a pen, and as the pumpkin grew, it would etch the message in the pumpkin. And, sorry, thinking here. And on her birthday, we drove to the University of Oregon where she was going to school, and we delivered to her an enormous amount of pumpkins with messages written in them from family. So that was a lot of fun. Okay, so far I've used dark Cajun Craze for the centers. I've used Daffodil Delight for the petals. And then I have used the dark pumpkin pie just to kind of go around and blend those two together. Now I'm going to use light Old Olive. I'm going to use the bullet tip, and I'm going to come in and color in some of these leaves. And I'm not going to worry about using light and dark on these leaves because I keep picking those up with my finger. Let me move those aside. Darn it. There we go. Because they are so small. And I'm trying to be quick. So if you want to, you can get in there and you can do some shading. One year for her 16th birthday, we had a house that had enormous windows that wrapped around two sides of the living room. And let's see, I think that's good for the light Old Olive. Now I'm going to go to the light Granny Apple Green, again with the bullet tip. And we carved a whole bunch of pumpkins with a whole bunch of different kinds of faces, and we lit them up and had them in the windows for her 16th birthday party. So that was a lot of fun and super cute. And then we've decorated with scarecrows, the cutesy kind, not the scary kind. Let's see. I think I got them all. Next, I'm going to use the light pumpkin pie. And there's a couple of flowers here that have some petals. I'm going to just throw a little bit of ink on those. And then I'm going to grab the dark pumpkin pie, use the bullet tip, and see these little flowers with the dashes here? I'm going to just use the tip of my bullet tip here and just add a little bit of color on the inside. I'm just adding a few dots. I'm not trying to color in anything in a specific shape. So we like autumn at our house. It means all good and fun things. And I don't like scary, but that's me. All right, our flowers are colored, our pumpkin is colored, and we are ready to put together the front of our card. Let me set all these aside. Now, I'm going to put a piece of ribbon across here, and my particular method, everybody has a different way that they like to do it. I like to attach mine on the back with Scotch tape. That's just how I like to do it. If you want to use seal, you can use seal. If you want to use tear and tape, use tear and tape. This is just how I like to do it. So I'm going to go approximately 1 inch up. I'm not even going to measure it. I am going to make sure I'm straight. Fold over my ribbon. The reason I like to use the tape is because it allows for it to still stay nice and flat. I'm going to remove these extra Stampin' Pearson mats. I only use those to get it just a little bit closer to you while I was applying the ink. I'm going to use 5 single layer dimensionals, and I'll explain what I mean by that in just a minute. Single layer dimensionals on the back of the pumpkin. I'm going to place that on the ribbon. Oh, it looks like okay, well, I'll do that in just a second. I am going to come back over this edge here and try to get rid of some of that extra ink that's still showing up. I forgot to go back and finish cleaning that up. There we go. That's looking better. And a little bit right here, which would probably not even show. I could probably get away without touching it. All right. Now, to the flowers. These flowers are going to sit as though they're coming out of a hollowed out pumpkin. But what I want to do is I want to make sure that they're sitting higher than this pumpkin. This pumpkin I put one layer of dimensionals on. So on these flowers, I'm going to use 2 layers of dimensionals. But I need to make sure that I'm positioning the dimensionals. Right here is where the stem is. So I need to be putting the dimensionals around here. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to put one here. So you see I've put one dimensional on it. I've peeled the backer off, and I'm just layering another dimensional right on top of it and leaving that backer on there until I'm ready to use it. Another 1 layer, 2 layer, 1 layer, and the second layer. I'm not worried about this collapsing because this is going to be overlapping on top of this, on top of the pumpkin. All right. Look at how cute that is. All right, so that's that part. Now these 2 little individual flowers, I'm flipping those over. They are big enough to handle a standard size dimensional. I'm putting 1 layer on those little flowers. And they are going to sit, let's see, I want to make sure they're facing the right direction. So one is going to sit back in here, and the other one is going to sit kind of behind this leaf a little bit. So we're just giving that bouquet just a little bit of a bigger presence. So here you'll see that I've got these tendrils, and I have already cut them out. And what I did, let's see, do I have a, looking to see, well, what I did is I took a piece of Mossy Meadow cardstock, just a small strip. I applied an adhesive sheet to the back, and so now these are stickers. And then I ran it through the die cutting machine. So all I have to do is peel off that back. And then I'm going to position that coming up out of this side over here. Oh, let me try that again. There we go. There's one. Here's the one I'm going to put down the center front. So I just need to tuck it up inside there. It doesn't need to go too far. It just needs to be far enough that it's not sticking out below the bottom. And then here's the one that I'm going to put off on this side over here. And again, just kind of find the right position. And there we go. Next, let me get these dimensional backs out of the way. So now I'm going to set this off to one side. We're going to stamp the sentiment. If I'm lucky, I'm going to nail it the first time. I have picked You are such a blessing. And this will be interesting to see how well I do with this being slightly out in front of me. I actually think I'm crooked. No, I'm not. Look at that. I'd say that's pretty good. I'm going to close my ink for now while I finish the front of the card. And then I will open that back up when we do the inside of the card. Okay, so we have this banner pick-a-punch, or something like that. This is in the annual catalog. So you can either do a flag end or you can do a pointed end. I'm going to do a pointed end on both ends. So I flip it over so that I can make sure I'm visually centering. Let's see. How close can I get? Doesn't feel centered to me. There we go. Now I just need to get it out, because I should have attached a piece of Post-it tape to it in order to hold on to it, and I didn't. All right. So now that is ready. I'm going to put this on my card base. This is ready for me to start attaching. Then I need jewels and a bow. I've actually already tied my bow. It's 2 strands of the linen thread just tied into a bow. And I'll use a mini glue dot to attach it. So I am going to use dimensionals on the back because I wanted to lift this off the card base a little bit. I know I've got dimensionals going on this thing like crazy, but that's what I like. I'm going to take my pick tool to remove my dimensional backs. Come on. And one more. So this is ready to be placed on our card front or card base. I didn't mention to you yet, this card base is 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. All right. Next, I am going to use the mini dimensionals to attach my sentiment. My sentiment, I'm going to use a little bit more of this color lifter. It's getting better, but it's not quite there. It looks better, and then it looks a little messy still. All right, so in order for my sentiment to layer over the pumpkin, I need 1 layer of dimensionals where it's touching the pumpkin, and I need 2 layers where it's not touching the pumpkin. So to show you what I mean, I'm going to use 3 dimensionals across the bottom, take off those backs and apply another layer there. Ooh, that one was a bit crooked. Let me try that again. They don't need to be perfect, but they do need to not stick out beyond the cardstock. All right. Then I will use 1 dimensional up in this corner, and then double layer of dimensional where it will sit off of the pumpkin. So There we go. Now, there we go, just like that. I now will use a mini glue dot on the back of this bow. I'm sticking it right here. Then I'm going to use the Take Your Pick tool to use some of these amber gems, and these amber gems come in the leaf, label, and amber gem combo pack. And I just realized I don't think I told you what ribbon I used here. The ribbon that I used there is from the Old Olive and Sahara Sand Twill Ribbon Combo Pack that's on page 145 of the annual catalog. These gems and these leaves, so these all come together in the same pack. These are in the mini catalog that we're having the launch party for today. So there's our card front. Isn't that pretty? Now I'm going to stamp our card interior real quick. Again, I'm going to use the Old Olive. I don't know why I did that. I'm going to use this little swirly doohickey there's a couple different types. So there's this one that I'm going to use. There's this one. This little dash and dotted line. I'm going to use this in all four corners. And I already showed you how to doll up your envelope. I think I showed you. I will show you again. Close up my ink. Going to adhere onto my matte layer. Same measurements as what I gave you on the front. Is the Old Olive layer is 3 3/4 by 5, and then this message layer is 3 5/8 by 4 7/8. Oops, wrong card. And now I'm going to adhere that on the inside, and we're almost done. I hope this has been inspirational to you. I hope that this gave you some good ideas on how to use the Hello Harvest bundle. And there we are. And again, here's the envelope that I had prepared before. So see how nice and coordinated that is. Friends, I hope that you enjoyed this demonstration of the Hello Harvest bundle. Thank you for joining me today. Enjoy the rest of this catalog launch party, and God bless you all.